Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about IMA's Statement of Ethical Professional Practice, which means that all CMAs and IMA members are supposed to have ethical conduct. In other words, it means that they have to behave ethically in professional matters. Hi, I'm the Commerce Specialist. Welcome to my channel where you'll find content covering learning outcomes of various academic qualifications and professional certifications, including life-changing business ideas and hacks. This video is very important. Here we are going to talk about the various principles and standards all CMAs and IMA members are supposed to follow. The commitment to ethical professional practice includes a comprehensive set of principles that expresses our values and standards that guides members' conduct. It is very important for all CMAs and members of IMA to follow in letter and spirit the ethical principles and the standards. So let's talk about all the ethical principles and standards. So let me tell you, there are 4 principles. The very first one is honesty. Now, what does honesty means here? As members of IMA and as CMAs, you have to be honest all the time, which means saying the truth to the best of your knowledge at all times. It is a quality of being upright, sincere, and free from all type of fraud and deceit. The second ethical principle is fairness. Now we need to understand what is meant by fairness. Here fairness means acting in an impartial way. When deciding professional matters, you got to be free from personal bias. You have to be free from injustice, free from any dishonesty, and you got to be fair and equitable. The third principle is known as objectivity. Objectivity means that you have to take decision based on facts and figures. Here again it is a little overlapping with fairness. When we talk about objectivity, that means you have to take decision based on facts and figures without allowing your personal conflict of interest, and if there is any conflict of interest, set it aside, decide the matter on facts and figures and on merit alone. It also means basing your judgments and conclusions as per set and established criteria. So if you're not following set and established criteria to decide matters, that means you're being a little subjective. You got to be objective here, decide on facts and figures, on the merit of available data, rather than involving your personal bias and being subjective. The last principle is responsibility. Now here responsibility means if you are in a decision-making role, if you have a specific position, you got to be accountable and answerable for the decisions which you have made, especially the decisions over which you have full control. You cannot blame it on anybody else. You got to own your decisions. That is what is meant by responsibility. If a task is assigned to you, it is your job to complete the task and take full ownership of the task irrespective of the outcome. It is a state of being answerable and accountable for things which are in one's own control and management. So that is what is meant by responsibility. You got to take responsibility of your acts, of your decisions, irrespective of the outcome, and then own your decisions. All IMA members and CMAs are supposed to follow the 4 ethical principles of honesty, fairness, objectivity, and responsibility. You are not only supposed to follow them, you are also supposed to encourage others in your organization to adhere to these principles. Now, having understood principles, we are talking about what are ethical standards. Now let me tell you here, failure to adhere to the ethical standards may lead towards disciplinary action by IMA. So please be very careful here. The very first standard all CMAs and IMA members are supposed to follow is known as competence. The very first criteria for competence is that you got to maintain the relevant, appropriate and desired level of skills, expertise and qualification as per your role. There is no one who's going to tell you that what you need to work on. Your client is expecting a certain level of service from you. So being a CMA, it is your job to maintain appropriate level of skill, expertise and qualification to meet that task. Competence also means that you have to perform your duties in accordance with relevant and applicable laws, rules and regulations, including technical standards. So when I talk about technical standard, I mean International Financial Reporting Standard. I mean International Accounting Standard. I mean Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. I mean ASCs, which are Accounting Standard Codifications. I mean International Standard on Audit, ISAs. So being competent means that you have to perform all your duties in accordance with the applicable laws, regulations and professional standards. Being competent also means that you have to provide decision support, inputs and recommendations which are clear, concise, correct, in a timely manner to manage or mitigate the risk which the organization faces. The next standard, which is very important, is confidentiality. As a CMA and IMA member, obviously you're working with your employers, you're working with different customers and suppliers. You got to be very clear regarding use of confidential information. You got to keep information confidential unless disclosure is legally required or authorized by the relevant party. You also have a duty to inform relevant parties regarding use of confidential information, and you also need to monitor for compliance. The next important standard is integrity. When we talk about integrity, you need to understand that you have to mitigate the actual conflicts of interest as and when they occur. Not only mitigate conflict of interest, but also advise relevant parties regarding any potential conflict of interest which may affect your decisions. You also need to refrain from tasks which may prejudice carrying out your duties ethically. You also need to refrain from using confidential information for unethical or illegal advantage. And not only you need to stay away from this, you also need to inform other parties and relevant parties within your organization regarding what is use of confidential information for illegal and unethical purposes, which is to be avoided at all times. One of the example of that is insider trading, and I think you all know about that. Integrity also means that you have to stay away. You got to abstain from engaging in activities or supporting those activities which may discredit your profession. And obviously discrediting your profession means discrediting IMA. Within your organization, you are also supposed to contribute towards creating a culture of ethics and keep integrity of your profession above personal interest. The last standard which all CMAs and IMA members are supposed to adhere to is credibility. When we talk about credibility, it means that you have to communicate all the information fairly and objectively. You have to provide relevant information which makes it easier for the intended user to understand the various reports which are prepared by the organization. Credibility also means that you have to communicate and report if there are any delays or deficiencies in processing of reports or internal controls as per the policies of organizations or applicable laws. Credibility also means that you have to inform the relevant parties regarding your professional limitations or constraints which may preclude responsible judgment or successful performance of an activity. Please keep in mind, once you qualify as a CMA and you're a member of IMA, you got to follow in letter and spirit the 4 principles of ethics and the standards if you want to stay out of trouble. So guys, if you have any question relating to the 4 principles of ethics and the standards, please leave a comment. If you're not subscribed up till now, please do subscribe. That is how you show that you value my work. If you like this video, please share it with your dear and near ones so that others can also benefit. Thank you so very much for your precious time. Love you all.